Alright, this is Synoptic and we're going to be going through part 10 of my Napoleon Total War commentaries. This takes place on Galcian Rear, where Carswell TLG, a clanmate of mine, is playing as Spain and is up against Basilisk, who's playing as Austria. And the main gist of this fight is Austria has the art superiority, whereas Spain has a slight advantage in light infantry. So we're going to be seeing some ninjaing here that takes place a bit midway in the battle. And Carswell is in the blue, Basilisk is in the red, top down. Keep an eye on the map there. As I said, there's some ninjaing. Basilisk has one cavalry hidden in the woods. It's currently stationed next to the bottom left cav, which is a triangle, the red one. And this map has a lot of hills in it, a lot of trees, and it can actually be very daunting to attack if your opponent somehow gets to the hill there with artillery, to which Basilisk has on the left, and is about to station another howitzer and a foot artillery on the right side. And there's also a few houses, which can be very bad if you don't have artillery. Going over the early movements, you see Carswell with two main forces, one threatening the right flank. And now here's the right side of Basilisk's army. He stationed a wind shaker in the house here, to which Carswell was quite quick to react. He started firing into it, and you can see there it's already lost a quarter of their forces. Wind shaker, always a good target, mainly because they cost so much money, and the firepower just as bad as it always was. So what we're seeing here is the big threat on the right flank. Looking from Austria's perspective, you can see only one Jaeger has deployed stakes, and the artillery alone. That's basically all that's on that side there. However, there is that unit that was hidden. I don't think Carswell would have seen it. But now that this unit is coming closer and closer, it's being hit by all of Austria's artillery. And plus that stake, it's very effective in stopping fire. We're seeing a lot of fire coming onto them, yet they've only lost 9. Here's a direct charge from a cuirassier unit, to which Carswell responds with a square. Standard reaction here, all cavalrying up, now facing a cavalry charge to the side. But this is also where Austria decides to spring out the hidden cavalry, which pretty much stunts this whole attack here, where this Hungarian Hussar is far superior to these Lanceros, where obviously these Lancers can only really dish out the damage in the initial hit, and then after that they're quite useless. However, they're pretty good against heavy cavalry, I gotta say. We'll see their effect later on. Now what was interesting was what happens after Austria halts that attack there. He goes ahead and takes the initiative. Now there's, on the other side of the field, I said there was a cavalry deployed further on, and he sends a cuirassier here. However, I don't think he noticed that this was a gun cav, which explains the direct charge, although the gun cav couldn't really do much damage after the initial shot. So down they go. And if you continuously pull those moves off, your opponent will be disheartened by this, especially when they expect to click a unit in a certain area to find that they have routed. And also, I think a minute has passed since this fight has boiled on. Carswell has gone ahead to start flanking this area. However, that Hungarian Hussar is still there. Carswell has attempted to shoot it down with light infantry, plus there's two other Lanceros. Although the Hungarian Hussar is still alive, they're pretty good, I must say, for light cav. And now what Austria does is go straight into the melee, which is very interesting since he got there before Carswell could fire the first shot. And also there was a hammer and anvil because the Hungarian Hussar was still alive, sandwiched, and destroyed utterly. This Spanish force has started routing within a couple of seconds. So that's the aftermath of that. It's been cut off at the sides, although he gets a bit ambitious here. He uses the same unit again to try and go into melee, however this time without the cavalry support. That Hungarian Hussar was sent straight into a light infantry unit, the one that was shooting it earlier, and eventually takes it down. So here it is again, that Hungarian Hussar. And this is when some decision making gets disjointed around the mid game. So there are units fighting on their own here. First we saw the infantry, now the cavalry, straight into a square. It's not going to fare very well. This is where Carswell decides to ignore that side and just engages the mid, This is where he has a clear superiority. There's 2 land shoots in, very low quality long range units versus light infantry and a pushed up line infantry. So they rout quite quickly, and this is going to quite heavily threaten the main body of Austria. Now, along with this success, we saw that Cuirassier attack the ninja Cuirassier, move to the right flank, and Carswell goes direct charge with Lanceros, and this is where they fare quite well. I think they'll only lose a couple of men before routing the entire unit. Now that is pretty vital real estate there. As he gets that field, Austria does a questionable thing and challenges Carswell's frontal assault, so he meets them head on. However, there are 2 cavalry here who just took this area a couple of seconds ago. Now if the cavalry wasn't there, he would have fared quite a lot better, but those Lanceros will take down the Windbush Shakers quite fast, and you can see how quickly their Hungarian infantry rout, because all those line infantry are loaded to fire, ready to go, and plus upcoming cavalry charges to the rear. This is where Austria gets a bit hasty and tries to go into melee. We saw earlier successes with his melee, so he's probably sticking to what was successful. Although doing the same thing over and over can be quite fatal, and we're seeing it right here. There is a lot of fire coming from Carswell's army, and that's the main advantage of Spain. You're always going for quantity over quality. Overall they're not very strong, but you can buy a whole lot of units as well as put a lot of experience points. So this is the actual left side. That's from the start of the game, and Carswell left that because the attack was mainly unsuccessful, so he went with the larger army at the front, and that was highly successful because Austria was less reserved in attacking. We saw quite a defensive play, which was pretty much anti-flank maneuvers. We saw the Hungarian Hussar come out early on and stint that attack, and he held it off with only a Jaeger and one of each, 1 inf, 1 long range, and 1 cav. It's quite interesting to see, really. Plus all the artillery support. But you can see how quickly things can fall apart with just a couple of moves. And this is definitely not a game you want to give your opponent a chance to act like this. Just take a flank with cav, come down, and rain hell on you. So good game to both players. Thanks for watching.